Graça Morais Contemporary Art Center exhibition by Graça Morais, Blue Eyes of the Sea. Technical acknowledgements. This visit was created within the project Culture for All Bragança, financed by the European Social Fund. Reference Note A07-4230 000058 of Bragança City Council that was implemented by the Polytechnic Institute of Bragança. They were created based on a guided visit with Graça Morais. Instructions. We will start this audio-described visit to the exhibition Blue Eyes of the Sea by Graça Morais. This audio recording includes audio description, which is a feature intended for people with visual impairment. However, it also offers relevant information for other visitors that can make it easier to read and to access contemporary art. This recording includes the description of the space, the description of the works, and the reading of the texts that are included in the exhibition. The dimensions of the works and spaces are indicated wherever possible, with the width being mentioned first followed by the length. The description will be clockwise, i.e., from left to right. The spatial orientations given are based on the military model of the clock hands, that is, 12, in front of you, 3, on your right side, 6, behind you, and 9, on your left side, and intermediate locations. These indications consider that the starting point of the visitors is the center of each room, where they are. Visitors should take into account that any movements around the room will have implications for these guidelines, and this should make the necessary adaptation.
Graça Morais Contemporary Art Center. The building where Graça Morais Contemporary Art Center is located was built in the 18th century by Francisco Xavier de Vega Cabral, governor of arms of the province of Trás-os-Montes. Later it was bought by José Sá Vargas and became known as the Vargas's Manor, having the architecture of a small palace. In 1936 the building was donated to the Holy House of Mercy and, in 1940, bought by Bank of Portugal, which operated in these facilities until 1993. In 2001 it was purchased by the Bragança City Council. A year later, the City Council applied to the Interreg EA program, the so-called Trans-Museums project. The project enabled remodeling the manor to become the Contemporary Art Center, designed by the architect Eduardo Soto Moura. June 30, 2008 marks the official inauguration of the Graça Morais Contemporary Art Center, which honors the artist from Trás-os-Montes. Graça Morais, Maria de Graça Pinto de Almeida Morais, was born on March 17, 1948 in Vieiro, a village in Vila Flor, in the district of Bragança. From a young age she showed an interest in the arts, especially painting. She studied painting at Porto's School of Fine Arts, a degree she concluded in 1971 with the presentation of an exhibition performance with paintings on overlapping silks, painted dresses and screens. She taught in various places in the country and organized her first exhibition in 1974, in Guimarães. She married twice, first to the painter Jaime Silva and later to the musician Pedro Caldeira Cabral. She had a daughter, named Jonah. Since 1974 Graça Morais has held and participated in more than 100 solo and group exhibitions, both in Portugal and abroad. Among these at a national level, we should highlight the exhibition Humanity held in 2018, which marks the 10 years of this center.
Exhibition space. This exhibition is displayed on the ground floor of the new part of the Graça Morais Contemporary Art Center. Sometimes, exhibitions can start right at the entrance of the center, which happens in this one. At the entrance is a large piece called Blue Eyes of the Sea. The room on the ground floor is 4 meters wide by 9 meters long. All these spaces have light gray, varnished concrete floors and white walls and ceilings. The lighting is artificial and natural. Natural light enters through glazed doors on the ground floor leading to the center's interior garden. Exhibition, Blue Eyes of the Sea. In 2005, Graça Morais enjoyed an artistic residency in signs commissioned by the City Council. The goal was for her to draw and paint the lives of men at sea, something that contrasted with the figures that Graça paints, which are mostly women. This exhibition includes 13 pieces, 9 paintings and the remaining 4 that are drawings. Entrance to the center. The exhibition begins at the entrance to the center, where we have one of the texts on the wall. It is entitled A Conversation with Dante and was written by Graça Morais. Let's read it. I keep the book Earth Lines as a treasure which Antonio Mega Ferreira wrote in 1995 following Vasco Graça Morais' invitation. This was the first book dedicated to my painting, the beginning of great recognition of my work. I also fondly remember the meetings in Signs in 2005, which gave rise to the wonderful book Blue Eyes of the Sea. I preserve in my memory with affection and gratitude the privilege of knowing a unique man who intellectually and artistically enriched this country. I imagine him talking with Dante, Camus, Proust, with all the great writers, thinkers, philosophers and artists, in long conversations full of humor and curiosity about the world. I dedicate this exhibition to him, recalling the wise words written and spoken in praise of a beautiful friendship of almost 40 years. On the right of the text, we have a painting in acrylic, charcoal and pastel on canvas, 3 meters high and 2 meters wide. It is upright and dates from October 2005. It is the bust of a man painted on a blue background. He has no hair and his face is drawn in bold black lines. It has protruding ears and a large nose. The irises or pupils of the eyes stand out for being a bright light blue as if they were marbles. Despite this, the man has an absent look. The mouth is closed and marked by black and orange lines. He appears to be a man who has had a long life from the wrinkles on his face and neck. Above the head, orange strokes create the drawing of a crab. In the center of the crab's body is a huge ball that resembles the irises of the man's eyes. The work is filled with ink marks that run along the entire canvas.
Ground floor room. We must go straight ahead to enter the main exhibition room. To the right of the entrance to this room there is another text on the wall, along with a black and white photograph of Graça Morais and Antonio Mega Ferreira. They are sitting in directors' chairs and talking in front of a large piece that serves as the backdrop for the photo. Let's read the text written by Antonio Mega Ferreira. In January 2005, the City Council of Signs invited Graça Morais to hold the inauguration exhibition of the town's new art center. The artist undertook an artistic residency in Signs, creating pieces that were part of this exhibition. Between July and October, the artist worked in an improvised atelier at Torre do Castelo and collected elements for a series of works that address the relationship between men and the sea. This work was recorded by the photographer Augusto Brazio. The result is a set of 20 pieces, which include 4 large canvases and a painted sail and, for the first time in her work, 7 drawings of male heads, blue eyes of the sea. Having read the second text of the exhibition, let's start the description of the visit on the left side of the room. On this side we have a glass display case where 3 versions of the book Graça Morais, Life and Work are displayed. One shows the cover, the other is open on the photo of Antonio Mega Ferreira with his text called In Search of the Secret of Shapes, and the third with a photo of Graça Morais when she was young. On the left wall are 4 works. The first is called Eyes Full of C3. The charcoal and pastel drawing on paper, framed in light wood, is 1.6 meters high and 1.20 meters wide. It's upright and protected with glass. The work dates from August 2005 and features the bust of a man on a white background, painted in different shades of brown. On top of his head is a black circular stroke that could be hair or perhaps a beret. The ears are prominent and marked in black, white and brown tones. It stares at us with a vacant look, closed mouth and expression lines that hint at his advanced age. There are darker strokes that create a shadow effect on the man's face. They can be seen under his eyes, under his nose drawing a moustache and under his lips. The color of his skin is dark and may represent the long exposure to sun and salt, typical of the life of a fisherman. There's 3 more works, Fish, Fishman 1 and Fishman 2. Let's describe this last piece. This charcoal and pastel painting on paper is framed in wood and protected by glass. It is hung vertically and is 1.60 meters high and 1.2 meters wide. It dates from October 2005. On a black background, we see a figure in metamorphosis, somewhere between a man and a fish. Its eyes are surrounded by shells, through which its dark eyes can be glimpsed. Underneath these shells, lighter strokes that could be the nose, mouth and chin. An orange and red stain strokes from the right side of its neck. On the left side, from the base of the neck, some yellow and orange spots go up to its head, mixing with a black spot. The forehead is high and has black lines that could be suture scars or the teeth of a fish's open mouth. Continuing forward, we pass through the glass doors that give access to the garden and head to the back of the room. On the right side we have the lift and a set of 4 framed drawings. On the wall in front of us is the painting called Feast, also from 2005. The charcoal and pastel drawing on paper is 1.2 meters high and 1.6 meters wide. It has a lightwood frame and is protected by glass. In the center of the work, we have 2 figures that occupy a large part of the frame. They are on dry land, by the sea, and are in the process of transforming into something between humans and seagulls, as is usual in Graça Morais' creative process. The figure on the left is in profile facing the right of the frame. It raises its right hand to its head. Its body is leaning forward and seems to vomit an opaque liquid, painted in shades of white, black, and yellow. 2 wings come out of its back. The birdman wears black shorts. He has both feet firmly on the ground. The figure on the right is slightly larger than the first and has seagull legs and wings. It brings its hands to its mouth, as if it is eating something. Instead of eyes, it has yellow and white spots that prevents us from knowing whether its eyes are open or closed. Between the legs of these 2 figures, there is a seagull drawn in grey and white tones. There is also a seated female figure, with her head resting on her right hand and her elbow resting on her right knee. The other hand is on her waist. According to Jorge da Costa, the curator of this exhibition in 2019, this woman represents Vasco da Gama's mother, the Portuguese navigator and explorer who is said to have been the first to reach India by sea and to have lived in Sines. The inclusion of this figure results from the request of the Sines City Council, who commissioned the series. Around these figures, there's another seagull eating from the ground and a boat with 2 people. In the far background, we can guess the Sines port facilities in red, grey and black lines. The sky is painted black, as if representing the pollution from the industry in Sines. In the center an orange line that could be the sun setting on the farthest horizon.
Turning now to the left, we have the stairs that give access to the first floor, to the exhibition Earth Lines. On the wall between the 2 flights of stairs, we have a boat's sail painted in acrylic, charcoal and pastel that still belongs to this exhibition. The sail is 4.5 meters high and 2.75 meters wide. It was gifted to Graça Morais by a fisherman from Sines who inherited it from his father. The sail is beige and has an aged appearance. It is partially outlined by a dark brown rope sewn to the sail. The sail is upright. At the base of the sail, we see a head coming out of a huge shell, as if it lived there. It is Graça Morais' self-portrait painted in lighter tones. The painter has her eyes and mouth closed with black and red lines. On her head are 2 coiled horns, one pointing downwards and the other upwards. The shell appears to be carried by a blue wave. The other figure is above the woman shell and is vertical. On the top of the sail, the face of the fisherman who gave the candle to Graça Morais is painted. The man is depicted against a rectangular background in different shades of blue. It is in profile, facing left. His face is painted yellow and dark brown. The ear is outlined in strong green and a yellow line draws a seashell. It has short hair. His mouth is closed and the only eye you can see is half open. Throughout the sail, there are bluish strokes outlined in yellow that form silhouettes of whelks. Returning to the main room, we walk towards its exit. At 7 o'clock we have a piece entitled Jonah Listening to the Sea. The piece was made in acrylic, charcoal and pastel on canvas. It is framed in lightwood and is 2 meters high by 1 wide. It is upright and dates from 2005. As can be seen from the title, it is inspired by the artist's daughter, Graça Morais. On a dark blue background, Joanna appears in profile, looking to her right. Only her head and torso are depicted in the piece. She has short hair combed back. In place of her right ear, there is a ram's horn curled down. Joanna has her head tilted down and supported by a large whelk that she holds with the crab clamp that took the place of her right arm. She seems to be listening to the sound of the sea. The woman's face is drawn with fine lines. Her eyes are half open and her lips are closed. In the lower part of the work there are corals in black and yellow tones that blend with the woman's body. The last piece in the exhibition is called A Tragic Maritime Story. It is a large piece, 2 meters high and 5.5 meters wide, hanging horizontally. The piece was made in acrylic, charcoal and pastel on canvas. On a blue background representing the sea, we have a succession of human, animal and metamorphosed figures. In this piece, there are 2 figures that stand out for their size. One on the left and one in the center. The figure on the left appears to be the same man from the work Blue Eyes of the Sea at the entrance of the center. On his head, he has a yellowish stroke that appears to be a beret. Instead of ears, he has shells. His entire face is traced in black on the greenish background. He has thick eyebrows and strong blue eyes, reminiscent of the color of the sea. His nose is well defined and his small lips are closed. He wears a blue-green shirt. The figure in the center is upside down and appears to be a woman because of her breasts. Her legs are bent ajar as if she were giving birth. From the middle of her belly comes a tail like that of a ray. Around this tail a succession of traces that could be her entrails. Her head is round, with sunken eyes and, instead of a nose, she has a yellowish bird-like beak. Her hair is long and reddish and is wrapped around her entire body. In the space between these 2 figures, we see a sequence of drawings. An orange cat, a child sitting with an open belly, some loudspeakers used in village festivities and processions, a saint who represents the patroness of signs, with a white crown and veil and the baby Jesus in her arms, and a bird man lying horizontally as if he were dead. On the right side of the figure in the center, a man facing the left carries a bird man under his left arm. The suspended man has a human head and has reddish and orange feathers all over his body. On the far right of the painting, a bald man drawn in dark tones, dark gray face, red lines around his mouth and eyes and a long neck. His body is disproportionately small and he wears a kind of red jumpsuit. There is a final figure with a high forehead, long black hair slicked back, wide open eyes and well-defined nose and mouth. It wears a red tunic with a black rectangular collar, outlined in yellow. In the center of this tunic, we see a yellowish spot that could symbolize a cross. His left hand is disproportionately large and points to the ground. With a huge thumb it holds a shell. The work is filled with different drawings scattered across the canvas, several boats, a ghostly face and a fish.
Closing words. We now come to the end of our visit. On behalf of the team who helped create and produce this audio-described tour, our thanks and we hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to your next visit. Before you leave, we would like to ask you to tell us your opinion. For that purpose, please complete a short questionnaire available at the reception desk on paper or use the QR code to do it online. Your feedback is important to continue improving our audio-described visits and future exhibitions. If you wish to send an email to the Polytechnic Institute of Bragança's team with your opinion, please send it to culturaparatidosbragança@ip.pt. Technical acknowledgements. These texts were produced within the project Culture for All Bragança, Norte 074230 FSE 000058 of Bragança City Council, with funding from the European Social Fund that was implemented by the Polytechnic Institute of Bragança. The photos were described by Ingrid Freitas as part of her master's project, with adaptation and scientific reviewing by Claudia Martins. Marissa Afonso validated the visit as a representative of people with visual impairment. Voices are from Narakit. Jose Luis de Castro and Marta Ochoa were responsible for the audio edition. The production was by Polytechnic Institute of Bragança, coordinated of Claudia Martins.